Previously, Ray was the only ordinary person to break the mold and enroll in a prestigious academy reserved exclusively for the nobility. Despite the initial snobbery he faced from some of the elitist students, they were completely unaware of his true identity. For you see, Ray was one of the 7 most powerful sorcerers on the planet, known to the world as the Iceblade Sorcerer. We continue with Amelia sitting in her fancy bath processing the revelation that Ray is the Iceblade Sorcerer, who is actually one of the 7 strongest sorcerers. She knows that, unlike her, he is someone that has experienced a cruel past. The comments from people expecting greatness from her because of her lineage play in her head, causing her to dunk herself into the bath. Amelia's anxiety is high because she feels like she can't become somebody great and is rather an empty shell, comparing herself to a caged bird. She quickly raises herself from the bath as the soap enters her eyes. She dries herself and thinks back to her encounter with Ray in a clothing store, thinking that he would have been more flustered, seeing her in that state. Amelia looks at herself wondering if she's not charming enough the following day at school. Their new tutor Carol explains the format of the upcoming Sorcery Swordsman tournament. It is a competition between the 3 academies of sorcery. The first year, students will compete in the amateur tournament, while the second year, students and above will compete in the main elimination event. 16 people chosen by the 3 academies will compete in the tournament their school won in the previous year through Rebecca's brilliance, and as a result, they have the advantage of 6 representatives instead of the 5 mentioned in the rules. Although the Arnold Academy is the strongest in terms of combined abilities, Diam Academy is stronger in physical combat, and Mayor Cross is an academy that excels in academic research. Since each school excels in something, they are all on par with each other. The committee members are to support the participants, and she winks at Ray as she expresses her hope that they do a good job. Ray hisses at her like an angry cat. He later makes his way to Abby's office to complain about Carol's presence at the school. The principal explains that she was called because she was free and she can also protect the academy's interest, which is very important. Ray doesn't accept that excuse because he can help with that too. So he wants Abby to get rid of Carol since he was young. He couldn't handle her overbearingness, and now she's his homeroom teacher. The principal also points out that Carol's sorcery abilities are second to none and she's popular with the other students. Ray is certain that the reason they like her is that they don't know her true colors, as he pleads again to dismiss Carol. She appears behind him and makes a comment which makes Ray flow to the other side of the room in fear. She doubles down and begins to chase him around after he manages to give her the slip. Ray later makes his way to the combat area with Clarice to observe the preliminary matchups that will decide the school's representatives. As they observe the girl, Clarice asks his opinion on who he thinks will win in a match between some students. Ray immediately predicts the female student. He explains that she is significantly better in some aspects of combat, and just as he predicts, the girl wins. Clarice finds it amazing and a little creepy that he can tell who will win seconds after the match begins. He notes that the difference in their abilities was very obvious. When this is identified, the result can be predicted in the first 3 seconds. Their attention is drawn toward Amelia's match, as she is seen as the top candidate to win the amateur tournament. The teacher signals for the match to start. Clarice comments that for this match, even she can predict the result after 6 seconds. Amelia already dispatches her opponent as she walks away. Her fan club cheers for her. Ray comments on how natural it is for her to win, but notices it seems to conflict with what she thinks to him. It feels like she just completed a mundane task with a straight face. Amelia has a flashback to her father summoning her to his office to alert her of his high expectation in the tournament, as she is representing the Rose family as its heir. He also doesn't want her to lose to Ariane, who is the daughter of the Auburn family. The flashback ends with Ray getting further exposition about Ariane and her family from Rebecca and Sarah over tea. They explain that she's from DM Academy and she will likely be sent as a representative for the tournament. Ray is interested to know her combat ability. Sarah reveals that she is strong and narrates a time when they fought. Despite Ariane's younger age, she managed to put up a good fight. She compares the grace of her fight style to a bird soaring in the sky. Rebecca also adds that, although both Amelia and Ariane are noble, they are different in the way they look at their status. Ariane is fully proud of her identity as a noble and turns it into her strength. She will be a tough opponent for Amelia, but all three are confident that their girl will also perform well. But Sarah is sure that Rebecca will defend her title as champion and take it again later on. The preliminary fights continue and Amelia is on fire, as she takes out Albert to submit her place as the top representative for the school in the amateur section of the tournament. Her friends look unexcited that she qualified in first place. Clarice adds that she won all her matches in 10 seconds, although he lost. Albert qualified in second place with his new city boy haircut as the fan club gives Amelia praise again. Ray notices her anxiety while she walks off that night. He decides to take a look at the book. His mentor gave him the last time he went to visit her the following day after school. Ray confronts Amelia as she makes her way to her dorm. She's surprised to see him. He starts by congratulating her on qualifying to participate in the tournament. He then alerts her of his observation that she doesn't seem to be having fun while fighting, but she instead looks anxious. He doesn't think that it's fine if things go on like this and asks her if she wants to become stronger. She finally talks her mind, revealing that she is aware that Ariane will be participating in the amateur tournament. Amelia knows that Ariane is stronger than her. Ray reminds her that there is 1 month till the tournament, so he can help by training her. She worries because of the side effects of him using his powers, but he assures her that he doesn't need to use them to teach her. In addition, he reveals that the book his master left him was a boot camp guide that she used to build Ray's solid foundation. She also wants to learn it, but he warns her that the road ahead is cruel. If she can overcome it, she'll surely become stronger. Amelia has another flashback to how she met Ariane at a royal ball when she was younger. She saw that the redhead was alone and rushed over to play with her, since they were the same age. This evolved into a beautiful friendship as they got older and were inseparable, even cementing themselves as best friends forever. But things changed when they became mature and faced off in a duel. Ariane took the win and rushed over to help her best friend up. However, Amelia was bitter about her loss and rejected the gesture. They grew further apart since that day, but it was because of Amelia. Ariane never changed and always considered her a friend. Back to the present, the redhead ponders on her actions while in bed and concludes that she must win as part of her duty as a noble. The following morning, she arrives at the meeting point wondering where Ray is. He greets her as he tumbles and lands in a very dramatic way. She is a little confused by the mask that he's wearing. Ray informs her to refer to him as Master White. He explains that from that point forward, he's the instructor and she's the recruit. She's to respond to all of his orders with Ranger. He starts by asking her to run a lap around the academy and pass through the Kafka forest before returning, as it's a simple 20-kilometer run. He instructs her not to use any sorcery to enhance her physical ability. She tries to complain, but with some intimidation from Master White, she responds correctly and begins the run. Her master explains that many sorcerers use magic to enhance their physical capabilities, and while this has its applications, it is more reliable to build one's body strength. She completes the run, but she is absolutely exhausted, but her instructor alerts her that it seemed too easy, so he will give stricter training in their next session. She responds as tears flowed down her face during class. The rest of the gang worries a little when they see Amelia exhausted. As she slumped over her desk, Elisa reveals that it is because of the special day and night training Ray is putting her through. She comments on how Amelia seems to be having a difficult time with it. Abby connects the dots because he has been seeing Ray leave the room with a mask on over the coming days. He continues to push her through various grueling workouts and Amelia gets into bed completely broken as she feels like she's in hell. That night, she has a dream where she's chasing Ariane, but she's not able to reach her and eventually falls, but she is comforted by her current friends. Ray runs through her now blissful dream and cabbage on her before biting an apple and offering her some, which gets her a bit hot and bothered. Her dream ends abruptly when she's woken up to Master White banging a pan and ladle. He orders her to come out in 1 minute, which terrifies her. The master jumps down and is greeted by Sarah and Rebecca in their pajamas. Sarah berates him for disturbing the peace, but he's too busy striking a pose that his other senior finds amusing. The uptight second year continues by warning him not to trespass on the girls' dorm. He realizes his fault and apologizes for neglecting their feelings. The Chad seals it off by commenting on how pretty they both look in their pajamas, but Sarah feels like that is not important. At the moment, Master White notices Amelia in the background trying to sneak past and calls to her. He figures that she's trying to dodge the training and chases after her at a later date. She escapes again and Ray comes out to look for her. He brought Thompson to Albert, who was doing some self-reflection after a brief discussion with him. He leads to try and find his recruit. Ray checks in the library and asks Clarice and Elisa if they have seen her, but they don't have any leads. He puts on his master white mask and uses his power to send out a wave that tells him her exact location. All the while Amelia feels like she's safe under the table in a darkroom till she senses that someone is around. She looks over to see that she has been found by her instructor. She tries to explain that he didn't escape, but rather wanted some alone time to reflect on things. He holds her by the hand and tells her that he's not letting her go till they arrive at the training ground. This gets Amelia to blush, as everyone watches on. Later at the environmental club, Ray talks to the president to act as Amelia's cheerleading squad, because they have good physiques and embody strength. He agrees to do so, which gets the rest of the club pumped before Ray leaves. He gives him a bag, alerting him that his request is in there. The senior comments that he will not ask the purpose for using it, but advises him to follow the path he police in the following morning. Annie half wakes to what seems to be a female closing their room door, but doesn't get a proper look. So he goes back to bed. Clarice and Elisa decide to support Amelia in her training. Ray, dressed as a female, walks past and commends her for training hard out of reflex. She responds, but when they look over, they see a female walking. As they stand there confused. He also walks past Rebecca and Sarah tending to some plants in one of the gardens and greets them. They notice the uniform and suspect that it's a female student from DM Academy. Ray has tested his disguise and it's perfect. Now he makes his way to DM Academy, where he infiltrates the school in a box and comes across a little upset girl who stops crying when she sees him. The other girls in the schoolyard were gushing over Lily White and the little girl she was with as she walked past. Lily leads the girl in search of her sister after she finds her crying alone. Lily learns that the girl's name is Tiana Algren and promises to find her sister as they continue their search. More girls continue to swoon over Lily, and a few of them gush over how she glanced at them into light. Just ahead of them, Tiana sees someone whose back is turned to them and cries out in excitement to Lily, because that is her sister. Lily joins Tiana's sister, Ariane Algren, where she is lounging, and Ariane apologizes on her younger sister's behalf for the trouble. Lily discards it because Tiana is a good kid rather than troublesome. Both ladies sat over tea after the initial introduction. Ariane remarks that Lily is not a student of their academy. Instead of denying it, she affirms that she is not and commends Ariana's smartness. Ariane informs her that intelligence and courage are her traits. Ariane forces Lily to be honest with her and not lie. Shockingly, Lily's voice turns masculine, and she apologizes to a very shocked Ariane for lying to her. She introduces herself as Ray White from the Arnold Academy of Sorcery. Ariane's words stumble over each other as she struggles to come to terms with what she is witnessing. Lily confesses to being a guy due to Ariane's horrified reaction, and Ariane asks how it is possible to change his voice, since his structure is like that of a female. Ray explains that he slightly changed his voice with inside code and sorcery. Ariane calms down and tries to remember where she had heard the name Ray White before. Ray is the first ordinary to enroll at the Arnold Academy of Sorcery, which has a rare strength in battle abilities. Ray embarrassingly tells her that he did not think the rumors about him would spread to Ariane's school, though Ariane is flustered with coping with Ray's feminine appearance and masculine voice. She declares that it will be a disgrace to her family if she fails to show gratitude for the good deed of returning her sister safely, and offers to show him the demeanor of a ruler on the field. Tiana cheers for them and tells them to do their best. Ray and Ariane draw their swords as they get ready for a simulation battle. Ariane pleads with Ray to use his feminine voice, and he agrees. They both pull their best during the battle and finish gracefully at the end of the match. Ray commends Ariane's strength, and she bows courteously before leaving. Ray tells Ariane that in the future, Tiana will become a cute and influential person. Like Ariane blushes furiously at the comment. She asks if Ray will participate in the Sorcery Swordsman tournament, but he declines because he will be a committee member and he is training his friend Amelia. Ray vows that Amelia will win the tournament and defeat Ariane, and with that he leaves. Ray returns to his preferred character as Lily. On his way to the academy, he chastises himself for returning late. Just then a young girl trips on her feet and almost falls, but he saves her from reaching the ground. She introduces herself as Maria Bradley and thanks him for not letting her fall. Ray introduces himself as Lily before leaving. She confirms that Ray attends school and he knows her older sister Maria informs him that, because of her kindness, she will enroll in their college and hopes to meet her again. Maria begs Lily to wait for her in the coming year and runs off. Ray joins Amelia, Eliza and Clarice at their training ground and asks for a report about their training and well-being. Amelia immediately jumps up from the resting and reports that they have had good training. Just then, all three of them look up from their position to see a female in place of Ray. They wonder aloud what a pretty girl is doing with Ray's voice. Ray explains that he came in from a mission to answer their confusion back to being male. Ray travels in a fancy carriage with Edie, his dorm mate, Amelia, Eliza, and Clarice. They discuss the intense training they had and nervously reassure themselves that they are good to go. Ray informs the girls that there is no need to worry, because his master is kind at their destination. Ray talks with Lydia Ainsworth, a woman in a wheelchair, and introduces his companions to her as his important friends. She observes Evie and commends him for being strong, but requires him to keep training. That he tells him to keep being good friends with Ray and he promises to always be Eliza. Nervously introduces herself and informs Lydia that she is a half-elf. Lydia grants her extra points for being pure and Eliza shyly requests her autograph because she's a huge fan of hers. Lydia gives her an autograph and Clarice introduces herself out of fright. She bites her tongue in the process, but Lydia assures her that that is okay. Lydia points out that Clarice would like to become a hunter and Clarice asks how she knew earlier. The head of the Cleveland family, which Clarice belongs to, had informed Lydia of Clarissa's interest. Lydia shows Clarice her platinum identification card as a hunter, but unfortunately she cannot use it anymore because of her condition. Clarice fawns over it because it is her first time seeing it. She advises Clarice that, regardless of her status as a noble, she can be a hunter too. Lastly, Amelia steps forward and introduces herself to Lydia. Lydia recognizes her from parties they have mutually attended in the past and requests to speak with her alone. After their exit from the room, Lydia is made and Carla asks for Ray's help in the kitchen and leads him away. She informs him of the concerning news that she has heard that the Grim Reaper from the Empire may have made a move. Ray ponders on what the assassination group from the Aval Empire may be trying to do. Carla tells him that she does not have that information yet, but the timing concerns her because it falls in the same period as the Sorcery Swordsman tournament, which many great nobles will be attending. She pleads with Ray to take note of the information and take the necessary action in the inner room. Lydia persuades Amelia Rose to confide in her about all of that's bothering her. Amelia feigns ignorance at the question, but Lydia points to a bunch of letters lying on the table beside her. For some time, Ray has been worried that something is bothering Amelia which she's hiding. He sends numerous letters to Lydia informing her about it and requesting her help handling it because he does not know whether to interfere or leave it alone. Lydia asks Amelia if she knows about Ray's past, and she admits that she knows before now. Lydia had taught Ray everything she knew about sorcery. Ray is talented and is the world's best sorcerer, even better than Lydia. Lydia may have taught him everything, but she's unable to teach Ray the human heart. Ray had lost interest in believing in the world as a young boy before his encounter with Lydia. Although his emotions have been restored, he is still unable to use them. Lydia made him enroll in the academy, with the hopes of having him open up his heart to people and possibly make friends. Lydia encourages Amelia to see the good in everything around her and rely on her friends to Lydia. Amelia may decide to close off on everyone and hide her worries forever, but she has someone who is genuinely worried about her. Therefore, she should use the opportunity by talking about it. After the meeting, Lydia comes out with Amelia to meet everyone else to eat. She urged them to change into their swimsuits for a swim after the day's activities and massive fun. Ray hung out with Avi for exercise. Evie thanks Ray for inviting him along and commends Carla's cooking skills and Lydia's kindness. Ray admits that everything has gone so well and he's happy. Amelia continues to train under Ray's watch and he commends how far she's come. Ray remembers his conversation with Lydia about her when she advises him to focus on Amelia's determination. He calls her out from her exercise and gives her his highest recognition. Amelia gratefully accepts his accolades and awaits his next instructions. Ray declares that the graduation exam for the boot camp will start immediately. Amelia's exam is to slash at the rose he wore on his chest, and if she is successful, he will give her a shiny badge of recognition. Ray promises not to unleash his full ability and assures her that he trusts in her ability unsheathing his sword. Ray gets ready for the match as Amelia does the same. It is finally the day that everyone has been waiting for, the annual Sorcery Swordsman tournament. The announcer reminds the crowd of students present of the importance of the tournament. Every student is a warrior who has worked their way up with hard work to contest for the title of the strongest sorcerer student. Talent and hard work are not enough, but require an environment filled with like-minded people to help each other achieve the dream of being better. At Sorcery, the announcer urges every student to compete with all they have and declares the tournament open. Meanwhile, Amelia paces about in the hallway. As the tournament prepares to take off after a while, Ariane walks up to her and strikes up a polite conversation with her. She notices that Amelia has changed and points out that it has been a long time since they had a conversation in person due to Amelia. Stoic expression. Ariane loses the courage to talk to her but extends a handshake to her and promises to see her during the finals. The Sorcerer Swordsman tournament moves from stage to stage till the semi-final level of the amateur stage. The commentator introduces the round, and the analyst for the semi-final, Shine Gerard from the Marecross Academy of Sorcery, and Amelia Rose were to face off against each other. The judge tells them that the winner is the person who can knock the other person out or remove the rose from the opponent's chest. But the match is over only when the judge announces that one contestant is unfit to continue from the bleachers. The students roar and cheer loudly for their candidate. Ray quietly whispers his support for Amelia from his position. The match begins and Shine Gerard immediately aims at Amelia. Amelia gracefully dodges his attack by raising herself and landing behind him without delay. She uses one-hit sorcery to take away his rose from his chest, and the crowd cheers for her as the judge declares her the winner. The analyst informs the crowd of the tactics, though it is difficult sorcery to cast as soon as the match begins. Amelia skillfully buries an activated sorcery skill in the ground and baits her opponent, who falls for it without a second thought, which gives her an easy win. The defeat surprised Shine Gerard as he did not see it coming. Several students wish to be Amelia because of her graceful tactics and the way that she takes out her opponents as the cheers continue. Ray stands up from his position in the bleachers and AV inquires why. He tells AV that he is off to resume his duty as a committee member and leaves. The announcer introduces the next match, which is between Arya and Algren of the Diam Academy of Sorcery and Albert Alium from Ray School, the Arnold Academy of Sorcery. Before leaving for the field, Ray hands Albert his rose and wishes for him to win on the field. The cheerleaders cheer from the stands for Ariane, urging her to do her best. Albert and Arya and attacked each other with their swords fiercely as soon as the match began. After clashing for several minutes, Ariane knocks Albert to the floor in a swift movement. Ariane urges Albert to accept defeat as continuing the match would be dangerous from the ground. Albert tells her that his past self would have agreed, but now his heart will not quit. He rises from the ground and without hesitation. He attacks Ariane and cuts her sword away with a powerful force. Just when he thinks that he has won, Ariane holds his sword with her hands and they begin to spark. She throws him out of the arena to seal her win. In the hallway, a masked figure peeks at Ray as he walks away. Students from the Arnold Academy express fear of having Amelia face Ariane in the finals. As the analyst Miss Caroline takes the arena to sing before the finals, the scene unfolds with Ariane locked in combat, fighting fiercely against her opponent. With a sudden burst of energy, she overpowers her adversary, emerging victorious from the intense battle. Meanwhile, Ray finds himself wandering through a dark and eerie tunnel, unaware of the danger lurking behind him. Suddenly, the ghostly figure of Fisher Ray emerges from the shadows, clutching something ominous. Ray turns to face the apparition, but sees nothing but emptiness. As he continues his journey, Ray encounters a young man, and together they make their way to the Academy's director. Inside, they meet Lydia, her maid, Miss Abby, and a group of guards. Curious, Ray asks about the guards, and Clara reveals that they serve the powerful Hill family, who are responsible for the kingdom's intelligence. Ray is stunned to learn that Clara is, in fact, one of the most skilled intelligence agents in the land, despite serving as Lydia's maid. She thanks him for his interest in her little brother, Lex Hill, who is the leader of their material. Ray is once again taken aback, realizing that Clara's brother is responsible for the security of the Academy's students. The headmistress warns Ray of the looming threat of the Reapers, who have infiltrated the academy with the goal of kidnapping or killing noble daughters. She tasks Ray with remaining vigilant, as he may soon find himself in a dangerous confrontation. She encourages him to work closely with Lex, who is responsible for protecting the students. As night falls, Ray gazes out of his window, his thoughts turning to Amelia and her friends. He knows that he must do whatever it takes to keep them safe from harm. The following day, the atmosphere at the Arnold Magic Academy is charged with excitement as the duel between Rebecca Bradley and her opponent reaches its thrilling conclusion. With a skillful display of magical prowess, Rebecca emerges victorious, qualifying for the final round of the main category. Amidst the buzz of the competition, Ray stands at a distance, watching the leading match between Laurio Fuccia and Lucas Forrest, students from the Arnold Magic Academy and Mercuro's Magic Academy, respectively. Suddenly, Elissa and Clarice approach him, informing him that Amelia has not left her room since yesterday and that she appears to be suffering greatly. As they speak, the match reaches its climax, with Lucas Forrest achieving a stunning victory in just 2 seconds, setting a new record in magical equestrianism. As Lucas walks away, he looks directly at Ray, leaving him with a sense of unease and uncertainty. After that, we return to Ariane, and she is training very hard, and her father and Tiana go to her, and her father tells her that this is the morale, and I am looking forward to tomorrow's competition. Ray looks at him without replying. He sees Elissa and Clarice, and Elissa asks him to save Amelia and tells him that you are the only one who can help her now. He told them, yes, I will go and tell her what I think of him. Ray arrives at Amelia and stands in front of the door and tells her that you do not have to go out, but listen to me only, and he says to her, I was afraid of entering your heart. If I get too close to your heart, I might break it by mistake. I kept asking myself if my decision was right. So I kept running away from actually confronting you. I want you to tell me, and I want to know your heart. And Amelia goes to him and opens the door for him and says to him, I am sad and miserable, as you can see. All that I did all this time was to live up to everyone's reflections and their view of me, and of my will. I gave up everyone's impression and played the role of all that in order to become a worthy person to be the eldest daughter of the Rose family. Compared to everything you've seen. He told her that there is no point in comparing people's past or their suffering, but surely you were doing your best despite all the suffering, right? She told him, you're right, I've been hurting for a long time and I've suffered a lot, and I always wondered why I kept living even though life is so hurtful, and then I met everyone and I met you. I thought I might actually win something, and that if I win this competition I can finally be a person. That's what I thought, but I can't defeat Arian, and no matter how much time passes, I will only be a bird in a cage. And she cries and says, why am I alive? Pretend and role play trying to crystallize the perfect version of myself, but I still can't live up to it. Does this kind of life have any meaning? And he told her that you are alive. This in and of itself has no meaning from our existence, but despite that, we humans can find a reason to live, and you can shave your reason for being alive from crying, sorrows, and joy, and share all this with your friends and support each other in life. Isn't this enough as a reason for living? And I want to continue living beside you, she said to him, crying and amazed. Don't you mind my presence even when I'm weak like this? He told her, I don't mind your presence. We see Amelia sleeping and he tells her, don't worry, I trust you, I know you can win. The next day, the final match for the rising category of magical equestrian competitors begins, Ariane and Amelia. What is exciting about that will be a match between the two daughters of two great families. Who will win? Ray appears and Elissa asks him, where is Amelia? He told her, don't worry, she's fine now, and they rejoice a lot, thanks to you. And he asks them where Clarice told him that she had some organizational work, and I am very happy because everything went smoothly and I was very worried about Amelia. He told her not to worry and I will go to give her rose now, and Ray goes and leaves them. Then Clarice ran and said, I can't believe that the organizational work has consumed all this time. It must have happened to Amelia's match. There was something strange following her. What do you think? About to start now, someone told Ray about a strange incident that had occurred a short while ago, which is that Clarice along with 8 other nobles had disappeared and we did not know anything about them until now. Ray said, well, I will go down because I feel something unnatural in this place. We are now heading to the final match, where Amelia is fighting with Olgan, a very strong opponent. The battle is not easy, as some expect you believe, I attacked her and hit her hard in the stomach, and it is the same movement that I used to defeat Albert. Oh God, how strong she really is. Everyone is in a state of amazement from this galvanized steel body with the magic power. Now we move to Ray after he went down to the bottom where he found Clarice and everyone on the ground in this way. Are they asleep? Or did someone kill them all? This is what you will know for sure. Ray went rushing to Clarice and found her already alive, but when she woke up, an unfortunate event happened as she found this strange object on Ray, and when she extended her hand, there was nothing. Ray knew that something strange was happening now. This area is very wide and now isolated from the outside world. Who did this in your opinion? They harvested souls, then Ray took Clarice and went quickly, but these monsters of irons chased him. He used his supernatural strength and began to attack them, but they did the dark feature and closed the vision completely, but thanks to the power of Ray, he was able to find them. And then Algain's strength was gone, and she couldn't do anything, and then with one movement, Ray froze them in place before they ran away. As Ray rushes to the battlefield, he witnesses a fierce match between Ariane and Amelia, with both fighters unleashing their most powerful attacks. Ariane channels an unprecedented force, using all of her electric charge to launch a relentless assault on Amelia. With quick and direct movements, she catches Amelia off guard, striking her with a mighty blow that sends her crashing to the ground. Despite the pain and exhaustion, Amelia finds the strength to rise once again, fueled by Ray's words of encouragement. With renewed vigor, she unleashes a flurry of attacks, determined to overcome her opponent. As the battle rages on, it remains unclear who will emerge victorious. With the final outcome of the match hanging in the balance, the fate of Amelia, Ariane, and Ray remains uncertain. Yet, regardless of the outcome, they have proven themselves to be powerful and formidable fighters, capable of overcoming even the most daunting challenges. The last in between Amelia, as well as Ariane, continues with the redhead triggering the development of her power, called the power butterfly effect. This is motivated by her newly found willpower and prompted by a yell of inspiration from Ray. Ariane also outputs every one of her power. As well as dashboards toward her opponent with lightning rate, she tosses her punch, yet it hits one of the butterflies surrounding Amelia, triggering her to be moved to the side of her. Ariane's momentum practically sends her out of the ring, yet she handles to avoid that. She quickly releases numerous attacks, yet with each one, she is carried to a various area away from her challenger. Amelia notifies her that she will certainly no more be able to reach her. Every person views on and wonder at what they are seeing. Carol speculates that it is initial principle kind sorcery. The instructor explains that it is inspired by turmoil theory's butterfly impact, hence her naming plan. It is an extremely special sorcery that virtually no person worldwide can utilize. This is the ability to control origin. That's pretty overpowered. If you ask me, Amelia interferes with the causal connections that were meant to occur by collapsing, as well as bypassing them utilizing the first butterfly that is struck. She then links it to various other origins, making use of the various other butterflies around her, which moves the assault to that location. This triggers Ariane to miss her assaults, regardless of exactly how difficult she attempts as lengthy as the spell is triggered. She will not land a strike. Amelia asks her to give up, but her old good friend promises to never ever shed as she launches one more strike. The spell activates again, triggering her to miss out on, and also the redhead combos it with a taking off butterfly, which knocks Ariane to the ground. Face initially her more youthful sis watches on, stressed concerning her. Meanwhile, Amelia's cornered joys on Ray is a great deal more booked when he notices her nose bleeding. Her old, close friend also obtains stress seeing her because State Carol comments that, although the sorcery seems unyielding, it is really entrusting on the body. Ray is certain that she's close to overheating. Amelia starts to cough up blood, but she as well is figured out to win. The two friends prepare for one last exchange as they kick and punch each various other. The audience watch on beside their seats to see the result. Amelia gets the upper hand with one strike, creating Ariane's rose to get destroyed. She reclaims consciousness, looking up at Amelia's face as she rests on her lap. The two laugh while they discuss the dreadful state. Each of them is in Ariane, acknowledges Amelia's toughness. This makes the redhead to sob as she attributes it to all her friends at the academy that sustained her during her training. She also acknowledges her very early friendship with Ariane as a factor in her existing success, since she was constantly ahead of her, which stimulated her to relocate ahead too. This brings the blondie to tears. She clarifies that she always recognized that Amelia battled with accepting her nobility. So she intended to come to be a best example for her, in addition to someone that she would not repent if she hugs Amelia as she apologizes to her for every little thing. This advises her of a comparable moment they have when they were younger, when they guaranteed to constantly be good friends after they have a heartfelt minute. The suit is formally called, and also the crowd goes wild, having seen the phenomenon that simply unfolded before their eyes. Ariane's dad and sis are disappointed yet content with the result. At the same time, Amelia's turned father does a little classy clap to show his authorization of his child's win. Later on, both moms and dads meet in the hallways of the field. They exchange greetings and also briefly talk about the battle. Both fathers are determined that their children will certainly remain to climb to the top throughout that period. Amelia gets some rest in the infirmary after her injuries obtain, had a tendency to raid, joins her quickly after to see how she's standing up. The lady is virtually completely wrapped up. Yet Ray is particular that she will recuperate quickly now that the battle is over. She seems like every little thing just blinked by. She reviews all the harsh training that she endured, however, took pleasure in, and also considers the evening that Ray came into her area to have a heart-to-heart about her psychological challenges. This thought gets her to blush as she mutters, which gets Ray a little bit confused. She swiftly alters topic, asking him whether he understands what her power was. He's not completely certain. However, during their training, he felt that she has tremendous talent. However, he believes that the final fight was regarding grit and also the reality that she gained. An initial spell is not something one simply acquires without any type of effort. It verifies that she has been striving for a very long time. He stretches his hand to praise her once again from all-time low of his heart. She reaches out, however, her hand is heavily bandaged. They stop briefly for a minute, as well as poke fun at the situation before the two button hands to finish the handshake. Our young boy is attempting to be specialist, so he does not unleash the Chad energy. Amelia believes that if she hadn't satisfied Ray, she still would have been a bird in a cage. She would have restricted herself instead of giving her all while grumbling with her head down. Points have been so depressing for her that she had actually forgotten that there was an endless blue sky. If one looks up the following early morning, Amelia is still a little wrapped up as she obtains prepared for the day. Her friends are already outdoors calling to her. They all make their means to the last of the major competition, and they expects every person to support hard for the senior as well as ruling champ Rebecca. Amelia rejoices that she's no more a bird caught in the cage of nobility, and also that she has people that can assist her face her challenges directly. They get to the arena, and also Sarah makes her announcement of how Rebecca is the favorite to win. However, her challenger Lucas is a dark steed that has actually taken the competitors by storm as Ray observes the celebration. He notifications Rebecca's little sibling nervously enjoying from the stairways as a kid of one of the top noble family members, their dad beings in one of the VIP boxes with a young acquaintance. The reigning champ reveals her respects as she expresses her gratitude to her opponent. For the battle, Lucas is a guy of little words, so he reciprocates her gesture. The suit is formally started as well as Rebecca prepares to unleash her sorcery. Ray gas states. Lucas makes a move while he grabs his sword and takes one step onward. Time quits for a moment, as well as Rebecca is swallowed up by light before a chilling darkness. The attack is so quickly that she didn't get time to react, as the rose on her chest is damaged in an immediate. The crowd stops briefly in shock, as well as the whole field falls quiet as Lucas supports her with his sword in a badass anime strike position. He gradually sheaths his blade and also thanks her for the fight, if one would even call it that. The group starts to cheer when they lastly understand what simply happened. The Dark Equine is declared the champ of the primary competition. Rebecca overlooks dissatisfied as he walks off the ring. Ray awaits him at the passage. The new champ strolls past and starts commenting that he understands that Ray is the present Iceblade. At the same time, Ray is shocked that the unmatched Blade Sorcerer title was passed down to Lucas. Lucas is delighted that he can tell. Ray informs him that it was impossible not to discover after seeing him utilize that secret strategy the current champion desired him to see. But Ray is a little overwhelmed as to why, among the 7 best sorcerers on the planet, would certainly be contending in a tournament for students, though he was qualified to contend. His skill level is light years in advance of his competitors. Lucas's only goal in this is to combat versus the Iceblade Sorcerer and show that the unmatched blade is the greatest system on the 7 as the champ walks away. He notifies Rei that he desires him to heal his overheating, or else he can't battle him with his complete toughness. Lucas informs Rei that he will see him in next year's event where he will be waiting on top, all the while Carol has left her commentating work for a minute as she relocates with the underground degrees of the place with Abby as well as Ainsworth. She is a little sad that the competitors mores then so soon. However, Ainsworth cannot believe that Abby hired her to function at the academy. The new teacher is a little dissatisfied to hear this, yet she really feels like Ainsworth loves her truly as she hugs her. The blondie requests permission from Abby to hurt Carol because she's so frustrating. She pleads with her previous partner to cool down due to the fact that they have a matter to take care of. The primary opens a hefty task door that discloses the caught grim reaping machines that tried to make use of the tournament as a justification to kidnap several of the noble students. Carol showcases the reason she was brought along when she casts a spell that makes them obey her every command. The bootleg Boa Hancock checks to see if it worked by having them jump around dance. Abby sees on asking yourself if Carol is absolutely among the 7 strongest, with the title of the spellbinding sorcerer. Ainsworth discuss how unsuitable and in poor taste her activities are. They quit her when she purchases them to do the regular one. Last time Carol gets a little major as she inquires to disclose every little thing concerning their employers and also what their strategies are. The reaping machines are incapable to claim a word as they shriek, suffering due to the self-destruction spell cast on them. The explosion knocks Carol to the ground. They are not shocked by the result. The trio head back up to the competition to perform the closing ceremony. All participants are in the ring as the crowd applauds their valiance and also the incredible program they place on Sarah Mores, then happy to see her companion back and asks where she has been, yet Carol is tight-lipped. The third year needs to know who Ainsworth is. However, she recognizes herself as a gorgeous woman. Just going through, Abby offers a closing speech applauding the contenders and also wishing to see them in the sector following year. A few days have passed given that the competition and also the students are now preparing for the year's cultural festival as the course covers. Rei and Amelia recommends that the class Runa may coffee shop. This causes a collective blare from the course. They begin to get mad, since they are worthy, so dressing up as maids is nearly taboo in their eyes. Both agents currently anticipated his feedback as they went over all opportunities before placing it onward. It's Rei's task to persuade the course of this concept after Amelia sold the desire to him. He raises the point that it is time to give the spotlight to maids who are used to living in the darkness of their master, as well as angles it as a trend that can stimulate a revolution. Carol sects the idea and also feels like the students will certainly look very adorable as maids. The upper returns to screams of enjoyment from the class when their instructor discloses her housemaid outfit. She completes them all when she strikes a present after the proposal. Rei as well as Amelia come out delighted that their plan functioned. Her assistant is a little worried that they may have strong-armed the class, yet she considers it a lot more like enthusiastic persuasion. She compliments Rei on a good task, yet they are disturbed by Sarah, who hysterically approaches. She informs Rei that Rebecca has gotten engaged. At the same time, outside the school she can be seen strolling with a young associate. That was with her papa in the last. He smugly holds her while she has a neutral expression. That brings the episode to an end.